The disgust mechanism doesn't seem to be working, especially with the resurgence of hunting in this country. My theory is the biggest impediment to people changing their diet is it's because of what our mothers cooked and our fathers ate and their mothers and fathers. So do you have any approach to overcome the family tradition of eating meat?
Yeah, so I mean, you're right that, and I tried to point that out in the lecture, that we can overcome our innate nature by training cultural habits. But the thing that I always point out to people is that nobody asks for fried chicken, pork chops, ice cream, or a hamburger in the delivery room. As babies, we are all born without preferences. Anything we think we like, somebody taught us to like. And so whatever someone thinks they like, they can unlearn that habit. And I also frequently ask my people who attend my lectures, I ask a show of hands, how many of you are in a relationship? Most of the hands go up. And then I say, how many of you are in a relationship with the very first person you fell in love with? And almost all of the hands go down. And I then ask them, think back to the very first person you fell in love with. There was a time you thought you couldn't live or breathe without being around that person. And then that person did something stupid or terrible, and you realize you shouldn't be with that individual, and you got rid of them and you found someone better or kinder or more wonderful, and you fell in love with that person, and now you can't imagine being without them. Well, you can do the same thing with your diet. You can learn to live without this food that's killing you, that's destroying your health, that's destroying the planet, that is abusing other creatures. You don't have to stay wedded to an unhealthy diet. And so the bottom line is that the beautiful thing about human beings is that we are plastic creatures, in the sense of we always have the potential for change. And no matter how you were raised, you can change, and you can change for the better. And we must do that.
Do you have any comment on the Inuits?
What about them?
Well, people in northern climates, they eat the whales, or, they're one of the examples. Carnivores say that's how they eat, and they're not going to become plant eaters up in the Arctic.
Well, all I can say is that the Inuits, when they were living in the Arctic and did not have access to plant foods, they developed a culture that relied heavily on animal foods. But Inuits living a traditional Inuit lifestyle had a lifespan of about 45 years before they died. Okay. And there were a lot of health problems associated with that. They now have access to plant foods. They can now live a much longer and healthier life if they don't eat a traditional lifestyle. I don't see any reason to stay wedded to that lifestyle now that we know there are healthier ways to live, now that they have access to healthier food. So it's a choice that I would encourage them to make. That's like people who are raised in the Deep South. Many of them were raised to be bigots. Should they hold on to that lifestyle because that's the way their grandparents were raised, or that's the culture they were brought up in? No. You know better, do better. Period.
Thanks so much.
Next one up is Aaron. I'm going to unmute you if you could ask your question.
Hi, doctor. Thank you so much for your presentation. I would like to ask if you can elaborate a little bit what is your thought about additional oils into the plant-based diet, such as olive oil and flaxseed oil, and particularly if a vegan have a serious deficiency in omega-3, how would you suggest to deal with it? Thank you.
Sure. I think, first of all, I think that how much oil one should have in your diet depends on your state of health. So for someone, say, who is fighting heart disease or cancer, if I were that person, or if that person were a patient of mine, I would want them to try and limit the amount of fat in their diet to 10% of calories or less. You can't have zero fat because you need some essential oils. But if you are not currently dealing with cancer or heart disease, I think you can target the amount of fat in your diet to around 15, less than 20%. So, 15 is about the sweet spot, I think. And that means you can use a limited amount of a monounsaturated fat like olive or walnut oil, but you really do want to limit the added oils because, again, they are refined, they are calorie dense. But I think you can use a limited amount. It's best if you try and use foods like nuts or avocados where the oils haven't been separated. But if you use, a small amount in cooking, every now and then, I think that's okay. But you want to be very judicious and limit the amount. We may be able to squeeze in one last question.
One
Maybe
more.
one.
Yeah, sure. Let's go with Alejandro. Alejandro, what is your question?
Hi, Dr. Milton Mills. Thank you for being here. Just want to share that I've been on a whole food vegan diet now for 2.5 years, and you were actually one of the very first people to inspire me. I lost my grandmother to heart conditions at the end, and so I decided to make the switch. And I just want to thank you and for your service to humanity. And also, my question to you would be: what is your top 2 favorite health documentaries?
Oh wow. My top 2 favorite. Oh gosh, you would put me on the spot, right? You know what? I'm not gonna say What the Health because I'm in What the Health. So I'm gonna say Game Changers, and it's a tie between They're Trying to Kill Us and Forks Over Knives. They're Trying to Kill Us is coming out, so look for it.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.